Now in this video, I'm going to tell you something that Bryson Dechambeau does in his golf swing that every single golfer on the planet can copy. No matter your age, no matter your athleticism, you can do this and it will improve your distance with your driver. So I'm Jonathan Chan with JChownGolf. Let's dive right into it. So unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Bryson Dechambeau hits the ball a very long way and he's developed a lot of distance over the past couple years. But that is not all down just to his strength and size gain that he's made. Most of it is down to how he is swinging the golf club. A lot of it might not be applicable for everyday golfers, but there is one massive part of it which is, and I would encourage every golfer out there to do it because it will massively increase the chance of you hitting longer drives. It's just real low hanging fruit that you can grab and hit the ball longer. So what is it? It is Bryson has developed and gained a lot more hip turn in the backswing. I'm going to put up two side-by-side stills here of him before and him after he's made this big change of his lower body turn. Because as you can see, with the one from before, he's barely turned his lower body at all, and now so much so to where you can see the left heel has raised up off the ground. He's got a fully extended, almost trail leg, a lot more turn. So that hip turn picture that we saw of Bryson right now is achievable for all of you. That doesn't require any flexibility or mobility to be able to do that. Why that is because just like I talked about in my last video, he's lifting up the left heel. So when you lift up that left heel, like we talked about, I'm not going to go into it massively in depth. I'll put a card up here because I've just made the video about it. When you lift up that left heel, it gives you more range of motion. It unanchors your hip turn. It unweights your lead side. So then you could have a little bit more turn, which will then travel the hands further in the backswing naturally without you trying, which if we travel the hands and the handle here further, momentum will get us swinging the golf club faster without trying. So that's where I think what you should learn from Bryson there, as we know when Bryson is hitting a ball, he's sometimes, swinging so hard that he's kind of like that, kind of swinging out of his shoes. You don't need to try that. I mean, if you want to go and try kind of like a long drive type of practice, you can do. But for what you guys watching this will want to get out of it is if we swing that a little bit longer with that more hip turn, which is going to travel the hands just a little bit longer, might not be a long drive swing, might just be just past 3/4. Like we said, the momentum of that handle traveling further is going to result in more effortless distance. So we know effortless is a word we all love on YouTube. We all love it. Every title that you put effortless into, more people click it, don't they? I know more of you out there click it when there's effortless because golf swing's hard. We want it to be more effortless, and this is certainly something that does it. So even for me here hitting a shot, even if I lift up the left heel, which is something I've always done, me and my coach have always worked on this because we've always looked for distance because it's important in the modern game. I am just going to more effortlessly be able to produce more speed than if I kept my hip turn very static. So this is what Bryson does. He does everything he can to get that more hip turn. So I just lifted it up just a little bit there. Didn't go at that one hard like I did before. That ball, if there was not a net here, of course, would have still gone a good distance. So really important to do everything you can to get that hip turn. Let's do a good drill to really get there. So my favorite drill for getting more hip turn. So that is generally what this is about. As you can see from the beginning, difference is hip turn. You can all do it. And this is a great way to learn how to do it and learn how it's different from every golfer as well, depending on your mobility. But mobility isn't a factor. So if I get this ball off this tee, and I've got this alignment stick going through my belt loops here. So a tiny bit on the right hand side, a lot of it on the left. We're going to now see if I don't hit my ball off the end of the mat there. We're going to see how, as I'm turning, this stick is going to start to move. Now, what I want to do to gain more hip turn, I want this stick to start to go towards the golf ball. Now, I'm going to see how much I can physically do with this without lifting my left heel as well. So for me, as I'm turning back, let's grip it down a little bit, otherwise I'm going to hit the side of my net with my club. So let me try that again because I lifted up my left heel. So that's about as much as I can physically turn with my left heel being down on the ground. So for me, I can't turn my hips all too much, because what I want as a minimum of this stick pointing halfway to the golf ball. So you can see for me, I max out my range of motion here. When I lift up my left heel, I get that little bit more distance, but look how far behind my knee is. So that's another thing that a lot of people say that is a fault, and we know, even though none of the things we watched for Bryson there, the pictures were from the front on, but he will be moving that left knee a little bit behind the ball. We'll put a little picture here of Jack Nicklaus. Look at his hip turn. Look at what he's doing. He's got that left heel up, and he has got his knee pointing behind the golf ball as well. That's not collapsing the knee. When something like that is a problem with knee movement, is when it's moving laterally, kind of like a swaying movement. If we're turning with the hips, when that left heel raises up a little bit and we get a good full hip turn, that knee's just going to move in behind the golf ball. So me and my coach back in the day worked on a lot as well. It's actually feeling like the left knee's behind the ball. Gives you more hip turn. So to get this pointing halfway to the golf ball, for me personally, I have to lift up that left heel just like Bryson does. So good way to diagnose it yourself, whether you need to do the move or not. I would guess probably a lot of you out there will do. So our goal is, ultimately, let's get this stick pointing halfway to the golf ball. Whatever happens with the aesthetics of our lower body happens. That's how we're letting the movement happen freer, and we don't need to swing harder, we don't need to do any of that. You can do if you want to, get some intent in there, but you're going to be hitting the ball further, a little bit more effortlessly. So let's give it a go. So there we go, guys, hip turn. We have to get a little bit more of it and get it in whatever way you can do it with your body. To get a good turn in the backswing, you don't need to have good mobility. That's one of the biggest things I want to get across from you from this video, is you don't need to be an athlete to get a good full turn. You can do something like Bryson does. Very rare that we can ever copy a move that an extreme top athlete does, but in this case we certainly can. If we more implemented Bryson's hip movement in the backswing, in my opinion, he's got the best hip movement on the PGA Tour, best lower body movement in general, we'd all improve massively for it, whether we're young, whether we're old, whether we're athletic, whether we're not. We can do this move. So, if you like this video, of course, hit that like button for more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So, let's move a little bit more like Bryson, and we'll be hitting the ball way further.